settle trades instead of the US dollar. Think about that for a minute. They're going to be using the Chinese yuan to settle trades instead of using US currency.
Now, not only does that account for a large part of the global population because of the size of China and Russia, but they are also encouraging, and President Putin is encouraging other nations to do the same in Africa, in South America, in Latin America. Where else? He mentioned 3 different places. And so those places that are suffering from Western sanctions are absolutely motivated to try to do that. Because if you are, say, Argentina, and you would like to, continue to finish your nuclear reactors in order to get affordable energy to your people, but you are suffering from Western sanctions, and the West continues to lean on you to sanction Russia, you can say, okay, I don't need to deal with this then. I have options now. Right.
And that's the key, right, is the options for them. And regardless of how you feel about it, I mean, this is a major, major story that the West is completely downplaying. They're much more concerned about Trump being arrested than anything about storms in California, which they're big, and Trump being arrested. But never mind what's actually going on with this unipolar disaster and the multipolar rise that we're seeing. Going now, Putin and Xi, they're going to build a massive new border infrastructure. So among the 14 agreements, a new border infrastructure, which expands agricultural cooperation. They'll be improving the cooperation of exchanging energy, minerals, metals, chemicals. I mean, what else is on there on the list, for crying out loud? Right?
Things that they actually mine and control. We've done reports here about how the United States does have a lot of these resources, but environmental groups are stopping the mining of those things. And so if you want your nice electronics and smart cars and EVs, you're not going to be able to get them from American manufacturing.
We don't do any uranium mining in the United States. We have one uranium mine in the United States. One. How did that happen? Because we're idiots.
As we've reported here, the United States was pioneers in the uranium mining industry.
So we gave that away. We gave that away. This is all a man-made disaster, by the way. You can see it, right? We could have been leading that charge, but instead we're not. So metals, chemicals, minerals, they signed these 14 total agreements, including nuclear energy, with a shared cooperation of building faster neutron reactors. The governments also agreed to create a new joint television station that would share information. These guys over the past few days, like shaking hands and it seemed like they were like best friends, in these meetings. Oil exports to China have exploded. And another area of agreement moving forward is on this massive new pipeline, the Mongolian pipeline from Russia to China. So massive new oil and hydrocarbon pipeline from Russia to China.
Now, I've seen some comments online that Joe Biden made this possible because it could be interpreted that nothing brings people together like a common enemy. And as they continue to be, the butt of aggression from the United States, then, of course, they're motivated to make this work more than ever before.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And now they know they have this common threat. They are under siege, basically, right? So they see this happening with the United States aggression in the South China Sea, military bases, weapons, money into Taiwan, nuclear weapons, nuclear submarines into Australia. The list is pretty much endless. Yeah, David.
Well, I was going to say, and let's talk also about sanctions. All of these countries that know that at any moment, if they do anything outside of what we say they can, sanctions on them, and they're going to be like, wait, we might not have to have sanctions on us anymore, because let's not, forget, sanctions are basically an act of war.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The weapons of, what was it? The sanctions of mass destruction. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they also signed a new military partnership. They'll have a military exchange and cooperation program with mutual trust between their armed forces. They're also going to regularly conduct joint maritime and air patrol military exercises together. Their goal, they say, is a multipolar world order instead of a unipolar U.S.-led world order. That was this meeting. Why is this not like the lead story on every major newspaper or newscast? It's not. And a third of the third thing that they discussed was the Ukrainian peace proposal. Why is this also not one of the lead stories on the nightly newscasts? Peace in Ukraine? Why not lead your newscasts with that? Let's see if Lester Holt tonight on NBC's Nightly News leads with that story. Probably not. So they put this forth by China. China put this 12-part framework together about peace in Ukraine. Putin praised this 12-part peace plan, saying he's ready for it. But the United States and the West are not ready for peace. Here is President Putin talking about this. We have subtitles. Watch.
Что многие из положений, выдвинутого Китаем мирного плана, созвучны российским подходам и могут быть взяты за основу для мирного урегулирования, когда к нему будут готовы на Западе и в Киеве. Однако такой подход, пока такой готовности с их стороны мы не наблюдаем. В то время, когда мы с председателем обсуждали вопрос возможности реализации китайского плана мирного урегулирования, а председатель КНР уделил большое внимание своим мирным инициативам в ходе нашей вчерашней беседы с глазу на глаз. Вот сегодня стало известно, что
Yeah. So we're ready for it. You know who's not ready for it? He says the West and Ukraine. They're not ready for peace. So we'll just keep fighting till the last Ukrainian. That's been the plan, of course, all along. And then the Chinese president got on an airplane and started to fly home. They shook hands. They were caught on camera talking about how this will be the greatest change to the world in 100 years. And Putin said, I agree, my friend, and have a safe journey. Watch this.
Перемены, которые не было в течение 100 лет. Как где вместе двигаем эти перемены. Перейдите, пожалуйста, дорогой друг.
He even walks him out to the car like he's on a date.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, get home safe, okay? Get home safe. You're my new best friend.
Text me.
Text me.
Call
me
me
when
when
you
you
get
didn't
back.
open the door for him.
Hey, it's Vlad. I'm up late. What are you doing? What
You
are you
up?
doing?
He's asking his officials, when is too soon to text back?
Right. Right. Is it a little too pushy for me to keep texting early? Like, but I mean, this is the type of relationship that we see growing. It's unbelievable to watch this. And what relationships does the United States have in this way right now? Think about the tale of two summits, right? President Biden flying into Saudi Arabia to try to push them for more oil production, right?
Yeah.
Agreements with Saudi Arabia. Instead, what did Saudi Arabia do? Turns out, we know from reports, they ended up mocking President Biden behind his back after he left. They called him like a fool. And then they turned around and basically started moving more closely with China. That's
Yes.
what Saudi Arabia did. So have a safe voyage back. So this was all happening while at the same time, the world is being upended, reordered. That's what was happening. And what was happening in Washington, D.C. while this was happening in Moscow? President Biden handing out awards to Hollywood actresses. Watch. This literally happened.
Mindy Kaling. For giving voice to a new generation of storytellers, imbued with humor and heart. Mindy Kaling's work.
Ooh, that's a short little dress with no nylons. I've been to the
I
White
hope
House
she did
too,
not
and
get
I
that.
was, and I was really self-conscious that you need to wear nylons.
So President Biden literally, handing out awards to actresses. Now, in Mindy Kaling's defense, she did defend J.K. Rowling for speaking out in support of women. The woke mob freaked out when she liked that J.K. Rowling's tweet. Remember this? People were like, what? Mindy Kaling likes this tweet as a parent of a trans child and a non-binary child. And as admirer of yours, I hope I'm misreading that she liked a tweet by J.K. Rowling.
How dare you?
How dare you? Right.
No, but people have lost their jobs for liking J.K. Rowling's tweet.
Yeah.
It's more insidious than that.
Well, but then she also released a woke television show on HBO on this Velma remake of like Scooby-Doo thing. It's been bombed as one of the lowest rated shows ever on Rotten Tomatoes on HBO. It was called
I watched it.
Woke piece of garbage. Is it a woke piece of garbage?
Oh my God. I literally cringed the whole entire time. Didn't laugh once, but I had to watch it because I had to know what everybody was talking about. So I watched 3 episodes of it. Garbage.
So that's what the White House is doing, handing out awards for that. Like literally at the same moment in Washington. That's the priority of Washington right now with a banking crisis. An economy slipping into ruin. And this is what we're doing. unbelievable.
Did you see the press conference that they just did where they had the whole cast of Ted Lasso behind Jean Pierre?
Yeah,
what is going on?
They bring the cast of Ted Lasso to the White House. Like, I love that show. It's a great show. What the hell?
Well, I can tell you what the hell, because what the United States is really good at is exporting culture. And, you know, Hollywood sort of acts as a mouthpiece for why it's cool to be an American. And we are expats, so we understand how that, like, we get cool points just because of our accent from a lot of people who say, oh, I watch American YouTube, I watch American shows, I learned English from friends. Like, we do hear this a lot. And so if you can sort of double down on this as PR in a time when nothing else about your culture looks appealing, not your currency, not your economy, not your banking system, certainly not your health system.
Not your bullying through military.
Right. Not your social media censorship, not your non-scientific COVID rules. Nothing here is worth exporting, except we're really good at movies and TV shows and music. Yeah. And so that's, of course, why you double down on that. It's not for nothing. It's absolutely not...
So it's propaganda.
Gratuitous.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's propaganda.
Yeah, it's total propaganda. So rather than ask tough questions at the press corps, let's bring the cast of Ted Lasso here so we don't have to take tough questions. And then you had that African reporter trying to ask questions of Jean-Pierre while the cast of Ted Lasso was in the room. And he's like, are you ever going to call on me? It's been 9 months now or 7 months. You haven't called on me. This is egregious. And the cast of Ted Lasso is kind of like standing there like, whoa, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, we didn't sign up for this.
Yeah. I clapped for that guy.
Yeah.
Very awkward, very awkward.
And then he goes on Tucker, and then, Tucker had him on. Anyway, so the United States, while this is happening, is busy bailing out failed banks. That's what we're doing right now. And handing out awards to Hollywood actors and actresses. But the U.S. military-industrial complex is alive and well and is ready to launch a massive offensive against Russia. According to the German newspaper Bild this morning, the United States is preparing a massive strike of against new Russian territories. Their sources say that the United States and NATO forces will see the biggest strikes happening in the coming weeks against Russia. Now, if you watched our show last night, you realize we are no longer on this show saying that Ukraine is carrying out these attacks. Ukraine is done. This is the United States and NATO forces carrying out these attacks. So anytime you see the word Ukraine is carrying out attack, just scratch that out and put U.S. in its place from now on, and NATO forces. So that's exactly what's happening against Russia. So while refusing to go into detail on this regarding planned operations, according to this Bild article, the official at NATO asserted that Ukrainian forces and U.S. forces, of course, led by U.S. forces, will focus their efforts on the regions of Zaporozhye and Lugansk. The U.S. will attack the land bridge to Crimea. That's good. So the United States is going to attack the land bridge to Crimea. That's the plan. The sources say that the United States sees this as a do-or-die moment for the war. Britain also getting in on this offensive. According to the UK's Defence Minister, Annabel Goldie, Britain will be sending depleted uranium shells to Ukraine. Wait, what the hell? Did you not we had a whole report on depleted uranium just a few weeks ago here on the show. And why that's a really bad idea. The UK is sending depleted uranium shells, and this isn't like a random report. This comes from the Defense Ministry of UK. This isn't like some rumor. They're admitting it. So they're going to be used in their Challenger 2 tanks. These are armor-piercing weapons that cause cancer. If you needed any more evidence that the West wants the destruction of Ukraine, then look no further. Putin responded to the UK defense minister announcing these new shell deliveries. Listen to President Putin.
Что Великобритания устами заместителя главы Министерства обороны этой страны объявила не только о поставках танков на Украину, но и снарядов с объединенным ураном. Похоже, что Запад действительно решил воевать с Россией до последнего украинца уже не на словах, а на деле. Но хотел бы в этой связи отметить, что если все это будет происходить, то соответствующим образом Россия вынуждена будет реагировать, имея в виду, что коллективный Запад начинает применять уже оружие с ядерным компонентом.
Yeah, so we will respond accordingly. So What? Nuclear war? World War III?
You know, it's-